Sometimes you don't need the prototype to be tangible, but you need the experience to be tangible. Like how does the person feel when they're going through this process?
Okay, so maybe we go back a little bit to this idea of experimenting and kind of trying things out, right? When it comes to designing something that is not tangible, like something that cannot be translated into a product or an app, how do we prototype or test these things? Like strategy or service? How are these done when there's nothing tangible to iterate and create?
So I think there are some categories of projects. We get future concept projects that sometimes require envisioning things which don't exist today, right? Currently, and if you're just talking about pure medium, I think that there are different ways that we do that, right? Sometimes if it's on a lower fidelity, it can just be something as simple as a storyboard, right? It can be the storyboard coupled with some basic narrative, and then if you start to go up in fidelity, then it'll be visualizing the experience, right? Even if it's not an object-based experience, but visualizing how someone would experience it, and talking through that process or narrating through that process, and I think the fidelity can just go up from there, right? We've done 3D prototypes as well, virtual reality prototypes. We've then tried to do, okay, like you say, it's not physical, right? So I can't say tangible prototypes, but sometimes you don't need the prototype to be tangible, but you need the experience to be tangible. Like how does the person feel when they're going through this process? So to be able to create some kind of proxy for that, I think that's something that sometimes we can build. The other thing is, those are typical mediums that we use in design projects, but the reality is you can use anything, right? And sometimes that's fun for the team to say, hey, can we communicate this project entirely via audio? And that's the deliverable, right? And can you deliver that experience via audio, or a different kind of medium? And if the projects allow for that's pretty fun. Yeah.
Would you say that, from what you have mentioned, right, it sounds a lot like the narrative or the story is quite an important factor in these sort of intangible testings.
Yeah, in the end, what you're trying to communicate is and not just an idea of what it is, but an idea of what it might feel like, right? And stories do that, right? It puts you in a world to imagine, hey, this is what Middle Earth looks like, or this is what a fantasy, a place out of your fantasy looks like. So I think in that sense, as much as narratives are used as in design and marketing, they are really a powerful way to communicate, right? And we've done that on research projects. Like the outcome, what you're delivering to the client is not an object, but is an understanding of this is how people perceive your brand, right? That's really intangible, right? It's like a perception. You can't give them an object, you can't give them an interaction. And for that project, what we did to communicate that was to do that with audio bites, right? Like, hey, these are all the things that people are saying about your brand. These are all the things that suppliers are saying about, hey, how do people perceive your brand? And that becomes a really powerful tool because it's directly from the people who interact with directly with that touch point.